Detroit Public Schools in Cass Tag. But I've also spent my adult life serving this community. I have served as a social worker. I am always a social worker, a bachelor's and master's from Wayne State University. And my intro to politics was with the late great Marian Mahaffey, who told me that social workers put band-aids on wounds caused by poor public policy. She said we need more good people to run for office and get in on the front end because it reduces the damage on the back. And that's why I'm running for mayor. Because I am the only candidate in this race that has served on the city's legislative body as a council member and council president, and over 10 years as the CEO of a nonprofit, the Heat and Warmth Fund, but also because I have a heart for the people. And I've given my life to improving the quality of life for Detroiters all over this city. My priorities are safer neighborhoods that are thriving and affordable for everyone, whether you rent or own. It's public transit to get people to and from the places they need to go, jobs and economic opportunities for all Detroiters, and getting small business back in business, and creating stronger schools for a stronger community. Because I do not believe you have to control the schools to support the schools. The mayor has to support our educational system to ensure that our kids are getting the world-class education that they deserve, so that they can fulfill their greatest potential and greatest dreams in the city of Detroit. I'm Santil Jenkins, and I'm asking for your vote. Thank you.
We get questions momentarily. One commercial announcement. Please silence your phones. Put your phones on vibrate or something else. We don't want the phones ringing. And then on a personal note, because I am a sitting judge, I cannot endorse any political candidates. I know just about all the candidates up here, but I can't make any endorsements. So I'm here as a moderator. I've given my disclaimer. Thank you. With that stated, first question. The water bill process in the city is not good. I was paying monthly and got access to an unusual bill. Do corporations and places of higher education get charged properly for their water usage? What can you do to correct the issue of the average Detroit residents? We'll start with Representative Dorhall. Go ahead, please.
Thank you. I know you're saying representative.
I know. Councilman.
That's a great thing. The answer to your question is that when we when we talk about how we're charged here in the city of Detroit, we need more transparency. We don't only hear that from residents about their water bill and talk about drainage fees. We hear that from many of our churches. We hear that from many of our businesses and our institutions about why are we being charged so much for drainage. And so we have to develop more transparency on our bills, but also show people how those fees are calculated. But that's simply not enough, because even with the drainage fees that exist, we have to work to provide resources to bring those fees down. And so whether that is providing grants that will help folks redevelop their parking lots or buy their homes to have better water retention to bring those rates down, as a city and as your mayor, we will be focused on helping develop that infrastructure for residents and our commercial businesses and all institutions.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Can you repeat the question, please?
The water bill process in the city is not good. I was paying monthly and got assessed an unusual bill. Do corporations and places of higher education get charged properly for their water usage? What can you do to correct the issue for the average Detroit resident?
That little lady that I told you about, Bessie Ernst, trained up at DPS, she went over and became the director of HR for water. Let me just say this. When I talk about correcting the system, I'm talking about making sure that favoritism, nepotism, and appointments and backdoor deals don't put you all at a disadvantage. That's what's transpired, and that's why we have what we have. After the bankruptcy, water was able to isolate itself from the city's budget. They gave Gary Brown a free card hard to go do what he needed to do to become self-sustaining. And that's where it took place. So right now, we need a mayor that's gonna go in there, not necessarily unravel everything Gary did, but do enough to make sure that we right the system. And you need someone that understands technology and innovation in order to do that. I'm your guy.
Thank you. Thank you. Do I need to repeat the question?
No. So we can all agree the system is broken. There's a lack of trust. By a show of hands, who's not trusting what's going on in the city of Detroit and getting information the way that they do? I know that I don't. And I'm a lawyer and I have access to that information. So the answer to the first part of that question is a two-part question. One, are businesses and other entities charged the same way as citizens? I believe they are, but I believe in audits. I believe in going back in history and finding out how things done and how things how things got to be the way that they are. How is it that the city of Detroit is paying 40% of the cost of Gleewood, which controls, and we only make up 25% of the user system? That's not fair. And if it is fair, you tell me how, right? Secondly, is what can I do for the average citizen? What can I do for the average citizen? Number one, I'm going to educate them on what that bill means so you don't have any lack of clarity and understanding. And two, we're going to find money. We're going to find grants through public and private partnerships to make a way for those who don't have.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
First, I'll say that I'm very proud that one of the first programs I created when I started at Thaw was Detroit's Water Assistance Program. It was the first time in 30 years that Thaw had a water assistance program because I understood the nature of the problem in the city of Detroit. Then I successfully lobbied our legislature on both sides of the aisle to get additional state funding to continue that water program and implement minor plumbing repair programs so that you wouldn't pay your bill for your toilet. When I was at City Council as a staffer and a council member, and we tried to create affordability programs based on income, we were told that the state constitution would not allow for it. Well, our state constitution did not allow for many things, including women's rights, including gay rights, including so many things. And what we did was build coalitions, advocated and lobbied until the law was changed. And that's what I will do.
Time. Thank you. Our next question. I have been living in the city for over a decade. I recently found out that I pay higher city taxes because I work outside the city. I tried to find work in the city a long time ago. It is not fair. I'm being penalized for working out of the city. I'm thinking about leaving the city. What changes to the tax structure can be made so that I'm not paying such high taxes? Otherwise, I have to leave the city. We're going to start at this end. Ms. Jenkins, once again.
Thank you. Our tax structure, whether it's income taxes or property taxes in the city of Detroit, have to have a fundamental restructuring. But as we stand here today, it is 40% of the city's revenue. 40%. So what we have to do is find new revenue sources, and as we find new revenue sources, we provide tax relief for our taxpayers in the city of Detroit. Some of the options that have been thrown out there are destination taxes, entertainment taxes, a local sales tax, but nobody's done the real research to see which of those will generate the most revenue. We know that one of them will not, an entertainment tax, but we have to understand how we replace that revenue and then fundamentally restructure how we assess taxes to our taxpayers in the city of Detroit. And I would start with property taxes, honestly, before income tax. Thank you.
So to begin, I would tell that person, hold on, help is coming. And that's part of the Perkins plan. So let me educate you just a little bit from the question, the person who asked the question. In fact, you're paying if you work outside the city, if you work in the city and you live outside the city, you pay a 1.2% tax. If you live in the city, no matter where you work, you pay a 2.4% tax. So you do pay more, but you know you're not paying any more than any other person who's living in the city of Detroit. I do announce it is high, and we have to find a way. And the only way we do that is to grow our city. And by growing our city by way of population, growing our city by way of business. And the only way you do that is you have people that you trust, you have a safer city, and you allow for those things that we can work on, like property tax and through public and private partnerships, and also partnerships with Wayne County to reduce our people's property tax. But as we grow this city and it becomes a safer city, we can also work on that insurance rate that everybody is. It might not be a question yet, but that's what I intend to do. Thank you so much.
Thank you, George. All the other candidates are part of the system. That's what I'm correcting. I'm making sure that we don't continue to have complacency in leadership, and we actually resolve the things that we've been talking about for so long. This is what is true. They let land-bank houses go to any and everybody they can do a backdoor deal with, and we still have people homeless. And we have legacy Detroiters that want to invest in Detroit and aren't given the opportunity. So how about we reverse the system? How about we give legacy Detroiters homes to get ready for those who are without, so that we can get the property taxes and more revenue coming in. But then even after that, let's make sure we start to attract the businesses and the corporations that we really want in our neighborhoods and in our city. Now, my experience can do that.
Thank you.
So it's simple. Detroit pays the highest property taxes and taxes, not just in the state of Michigan, but in the nation. As far as the income tax is concerned, yes, we have to increase our tax base before we can even start to talk about lowering income taxes here in the city. But what we can do is get aggressive on our property taxes. And this is how we do it. We have a plan that will eliminate the operating millage for our taxes by 19.5 mils. Detroit currently pays over 80 mils in taxes. The closest city in comparison is Grand Rapids. They pay half of what we pay. What we are going to do is tax folks more, to put more money in folks' pockets who are paying their fair share by taxing those who don't. So folks who are sitting and speculating on land, folks who have undeveloped land, folks who are contributing to blight here in our community, we are going to tax them more so we can put more money back into the pockets of residents who have been fitting the bill for everyone else here in the city of Detroit.
Thank you. Our next question. When the emergency manager left, he dissolved the Citizens District Council, which were elected by the residents, and development had to be approved by them. The president.
Can you speak into the mic?
Yes, I can. Can you hear me better now?
Yes.
Resounding yes. Or I can use my outside voice. When the emergency manager left, he dissolved the Citizens District Council, which was elected by the residents. Development had to be approved by them. The present mayor said he would reinstate them, but he is not. Would you reinstate them, number one? Number two, would you deal with the citizens' businesses to agree on development without displacement? Over. Development that is fair to the citizens, not just corporations. Doro, once again.
Thank you. And absolutely, we will work to restore Citizens District Council. I believe they work, and I'm going to tell you because I've seen them work in person. My dad, who has been in politics and was my predecessor in the legislature, used to belong to the Virginia Park Citizens District Council. And they helped rebuild 12th Street after the riots. He was the executive director. If you walked into Joseph Walker Williams Center, there's a plaque of Martin Luther King. You'll see his name on top. I've seen it work in action. That's how they got a Farmer Jack over there. That's how they got a police mini station over there. And that's how they rebuilt 12th Street. And we can duplicate that across the entire city of Detroit. So yes, But we also have to re-examine our community benefits ordinance, which is an ordinance put in place to ensure that when development projects come here, citizens have a say-so. We have to make sure that you have a deeper say-so and have realistic expectations, so when you look at these developments coming into your community, you have access to jobs, you have access to amenities, you have access to the housing that goes directly to those folks in that footprint.
Thank you.
On back to Marcellus on the east side, there's a small school. And there's a Chick-fil-A attempting to go right there on the corner next to that school. The citizens were fighting for over 3 years to keep the Chick-fil-A out because of the exhaust fumes, as well as the traffic, possibly creating a safety hazard. They were told to go through the process, and they were told to fight, and whatever council or hearing they were invited to, and still no result, the Chick-fil-A is coming. We need a leader that's going to actually speak up and help guide the community to be able to stop these things from coming in without permission. This isn't rocket science. This is simple math. Hold the hand of the community so they can get what they desire and so they don't get mistreated. I'm going to be the one to do that because I've been doing it all my life. Let's change the system.
Time, thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, that question speaks to the heart of my campaign. That being the voice of the people. Why my campaign's called Perkins for the People, why the media has dubbed me the neighborhood mayor. Because my campaign and my platform and the Perkins plan will have a seat at the table for the neighborhood, for the average citizen, just like myself and like you, will have a say-so in the development and the master plan of the district that you live in. We're going to do this by districts, ladies and gentlemen. But it's interesting that we have, Mr. Durham talks about the neighborhood, the community benefits ordinance needs to be reformed. I haven't heard him say that until he started campaigning. That's what I'm talking about. When we talk about leadership, you be the squeaky wheel. Now, you know, that's something that he has to announce and he has to account for. Because if I'm in the form of leadership, I can't kick the ball down the road and say I'm not the mayor, but I can make noise because I have this position of power because you trusted me with your vote. You trust me with my vote, your vote, you're going to get results. I promise you that.
Time.
So yes, I would bring back the CDCs, and that's because they would need to be a part of our strategic master planning process. That is set out by district, getting their input to determine what each of the 7 districts will look like. And then once that plan is in place and it is transparent for everybody to see, if that plan says District 5 is going to get a movie theater, a restaurant, and a coffee shop, then we're using our tax incentives to say to developers, if you want to come to District 5 and bring what the people want, then we will give you tax incentives. So we will reverse it rather than waiting for them to say, I want to build this. This is where I want to build it. Now give me your money. We say, if you want our money, you come and build what the people say they want. And I believe the only difference between growth and gentrification, one happens to you and one happens with you. I will be a mayor who wants this city to grow with the people where you are included in the process. Thank you.
Thank you. All right.
Rerun.
You get a chance to come back. You just keep going through your questions.
Well, that's what we're
No, but earlier we said we had certain rules and we're just going by the questions. Okay. No. We're gonna ask the questions, okay? And you get a chance at the end.
So
Not right now. We're going through these questions because, just ladies and gentlemen, just so you know, and we want all the candidates to answer each question that you provide. Once all the questions have been answered, you as the candidate can come back. Okay? But right now, we want to make sure that everybody is compared to the same question. And we want every candidate, no matter who they are, to stick to the time. And we make sure we're respectful of that time. Okay? And every question that is presented, I want to have the candidates an opportunity to answer. Okay? Now, next question. What did I say about time?
Going to jail.
With that said, the next question. At a healthcare conference in 23, I learned about racism in Medicare. It was noted that when LBJ introduced Medicare for seniors, that the Democratic South lobbied for a 20% charge for Medicare Part B. Medicare Part A, which deals with hospitals, was already affected by civil rights laws. Although there was no room for discrimination, Part B, office visits gave them room to discriminate. The administration cost to collect, which covers the denial of liability, may just be cheaper to pay the extra 20%. And I'm sorry, I'm having a hard time reading the handwriting. We made another to get the Civil Rights Department of the UAW to advocate for this issue. They will not lead the charge. If elected mayor, will you direct the Civil Rights Department of the city to begin a citywide movement to bring justice to Medicare Part B, then spread this knowledge across the country to assist in changing the federal legislation? Okay. No, I was actually saying this, Judge.
Oh, go ahead.
Yes. Don't be so eager, go ahead.
I don't see that.
If you understood it.
I was gonna say, I apologize because I don't fully understand the question. But what I will say that as mayor and as a survivor of stage 3 breast cancer, I understand the importance of people having access to not only affordable but quality health care. So as the mayor of the city of Detroit, I would do everything in my power to advocate and make sure that Detroiters have access to quality, affordable health care, period.
Thank you.
Thank you. And I'm sorry I couldn't be more specific.
You
I
have more
just don't
time,
understand.
or do you yield your time?
Well, I don't,
Okay.
yes, without understanding the details, I can't be more specific. But
Okay.
I will say I will be pushing to bring our health department back, our public health department back. It's separated into IPH and Detroit Public Health Department, and we are not properly serving our citizens. So I would definitely fully implement the Detroit Health Department here too. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Judge. Thank you. So they said we may keep the court. What you can take from that question is one person who wants to make sure that you have a mayor who's going to activate and weaponize our civil rights department. That's what we're saying. What people are seeing in this country, and right now, as the only candidate who is a lawyer, as the only candidate that understands the Constitution with particular detail, who has supported the Constitution in the representation of those who are without, those who are undermined, and those who are on the other side of that V when you go to court. The Constitution is clear that it needs to be upheld. So the answer to that question, as it relates to using the Civil Rights Department, absolutely yes, because it's absolutely despicable. It's uncalled for. What's going on in our country in this reversion and this regression back to antebellum South. That's what we got going on here. And if you don't have a fighter, or you don't have someone who knows how to fight, because the access to medical care is a human right. So I will use all the tools that I have, the skills that I have to do so. Thank you.
Thank you.
Some people just don't know what right is, so who's fighting? When it comes down to national initiatives like prison reentry or mass incarceration or decriminalization, those 3 initiatives are in 3 different places across the world. But when you claim to know so much about the court systems and freeing people and getting them back into programming, you gotta know what the national initiative is so you know how to get attached to the dollars. See, when you've had 3 healthcare companies, from doing CPAPs to back braces to See, I'm a businessman, and I've been with a very diverse amount of experiences within an industry that's going to actually get you all resolved. Trust someone that has your heart, just like a Donald Snyder or a Michael Rashad. It's
Thank
real
you.
simple.
Go ahead.
Thank you, and I think what's important to realize when we talk about the Constitution or what is the responsibilities of the federal government, the state government, as well as the city government. As the city government, yes, we can utilize Creole, our civil rights department, to make noise, to march, to go to DC and advocate. But where those changes need to take place are in Congress. So we need to bring everybody on board, whether that's our state legislature, whether that's our county officials, whether that's our local health departments, and particularly our congressional delegation here in the state of Michigan, and go to DC where that fight exists. I learned a long time ago, and people will tell you whatever, this is how politics work. I'm gonna fight for you, I'm gonna fight for you. We're tired of fighting. Delivery is important. Not just yelling, not just screaming, but going to those places and bringing results home. And that is one thing we will do as mayor, because we will work in collaboration with everyone. We will go to DC, we'll go to Lansing, and we will get the results that we need.
Thank you. Start this next question, Mr. Durham, once again. What is your plan to recover Detroit? What is your plan to recover Detroit assets that were stolen from the citizens?
So when we talk about the bankruptcy, and you are a judge, and you know this specifically, we are very close to finally exiting bankruptcy. And then being under control of the Financial Review Commission. There's no secret that in the bankruptcy, Detroit lost a lot of assets, and particularly our budget was balanced on the back of our retirees. With their pensions. That's why, as chair of the retiree task force, we have worked to create a 13th check, which we just sent to retirees in May, but that's not enough. I'm going to be working as your mayor to give multiple checks to our retirees to put more money back in their pocket. We are going to be working to restore their cost of living adjustment. We are going to be working to reverse the annuity clawback that they got during the bankruptcy to ensure that that funding goes back to them. So when we talk about assets, the most valuable asset that the city of Detroit has is its people and its residents. And that's what we got to focus on restoring here in the city of Detroit.
Thank you. Mr. Barlow, go ahead.
Insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and getting the same results. We've had the same leaders for about 15, 20 years, and we have the same results. Sometimes you just have to change and get a clean slate, and that's what I represent. First, clean energy. Coming in here being able to do the things that they claim they can do, but I've been doing them out of my own pocket. I'm pretty sure everybody who goes to Sacred Heart considers themselves a volunteer. See, when you really get done checking the records, get rid of all the stuff that we paid us for, through nonprofits, through whatever office they love. And let's see what they did out of their own pocket, on their own time. Because 20 years of my life, I dedicated myself to helping make sure I speak up for those who are not being spoken for. And right now, we all find ourselves in the same ship, needing to be on the same page and with a village approach to every problem. I'm the guy.
Thank you. Attorney Perkins.
So, when you speak without facts, you speak recklessly, and that's not what we need as mayor. He doesn't know me. The commitment to my community, I invite everyone to the North End for the 25th annual Father's Day picnic. Something as a man for others, or a man and woman for others, that I've learned through the Jesuit tradition where I went to school. That's what we're about. A continuing commitment, as you can see, fighting for civil rights and fighting through my nonprofit, The People's Voice. That's what I'm doing. So, as it relates to the assets lost by the city of Detroit, let's talk about not only the retirees, but we lost Belle Isle, we lost Cobo Hall, or Huntington Place, we lost the revenue at the tunnel, we lost the lighting, and we turned all those things over. So we have a lot of work to do. But the first and foremost thing on my mind are those people, direct people. My mom was one of them. when they took her and clawed back her money, the little bit of retirement that she did have, that's first and foremost. So what I intend to do, I do intend to give every retiree an IOU. And we're gonna figure that out, how we do it. That's what leadership does. Thank you.
Ms. Jenkins.
Thank you. So I am the one sitting here who was sitting at the table during the bankruptcy. And I just want to remind everyone that we had a governor who had just wiped out union rights with right to work. And we came in prepared to wipe out every city contract that existed and get rid of everything that we had in the city of Detroit, including pensions. The people sitting at that table fought tooth and nail to save as much as we could. Yes, our retirees, they sacrificed the most. That was the greatest asset that suffered. As the mayor, the first thing that we were doing is fighting to get retiree health care back. But the assets that we had weren't doing us any good if retirees were gonna lose their entire pensions. If you ask me, do you want to raise your hand to keep as much of a pension and health care as you can for the people here and for the workers in the city of Detroit? Or turn over the lighting department and turn the lights back
Time.
on?
Thank you.
I'm gonna pick the people.
Time.
every time. Thank you.
Thank you. Next question. Ms. Jenkins, once again, please give an example of when you took action in support of residents' health in the face of industrial pollution in a community.
Repeat
Yes.
the question, please. Thank you.
Please give an example of the time when you took action in support of residents' health in the face of industrial pollution in a community.
Sure, thank you. When I was on city council, one of the issues at that time was coconut on the riverfront. And I worked diligently with my colleagues, with our Congress people to hold polluters accountable on the riverfront to make sure that they were cleaning up their pollution. That's the first thing. I have worked with Wayne County and Just Air on the air quality measurements that are currently in place in the city of Detroit and throughout Wayne County. And as mayor, I will do the same. And then finally, I would say, in the last 10 years as the CEO of the Heat and Warm Fund, I have been fighting continuously for environmental justice for our residents. Thank you.
Thank you. Perkins.
As a lawyer, I have counseled many people in regards to what I find the problems that they have experienced on a personal level with DTE and what happens to their homes and what they've done to their property. But I also have counseled nonprofits and citizens who are affected in those areas in Southwest Detroit and Delray community on how they can take specific action legally. Because I believe that the real fight, oftentimes, even though the city has all these departments, the city can weaponize itself and take itself to court and to move on their behalf. And so I've counseled those individuals. And a little known fact, I was unaware of that until recently within the past year, about the new Stellantis plant that everyone looks as a shiny new penny, that is spewing out environmental waste, and it's affecting the lives of individuals who live adjacent to it. So I am constantly counseling those individuals on how to take that legal action. That's why you need a lawyer as your mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. Barlow.
Some of the stuff blows my mind. They mentioned a company called Just Air. His name is Darren Riley. I've watched him before Just Air was created. Because I can find a founder and find an idea to make sure that we can get to the next level. Get this, they put an incinerator over there. And for years it polluted. It polluted. We brought several projects to cap the incinerator and take that methane gas and turn it into energy. But I can guarantee you, blue block between DTE and those who continue to want our community to suffer. But then I go a step further, because we all might not see it over here, But my Southwest community and where I'm from, and my grandfather pastored for 40 years out of 48217, which is still Detroit. We've had the marathon plan for years. And they continue not to do anything about it. With me in that office, you have an advocate.
So you can tell a lot about what a person can do about what they've done. And that is why we have a 100% Sierra Club voting record, a 100% Michigan Conservation League of Voters voting record. Because when we were on the state level, we stood and pushed for Marathon to lower their emissions here in the city of Detroit. We also pushed DTE to become more energy efficient and compliant by 2030, and we voted on that legislation. And on Detroit City Council, recently, we voted in favor to create the fugitive dust ordinance here in the city of Detroit. We also voted yes on a resolution to hold Stellantis accountable for the fumes that were coming from that plant. And as mayor, we will continue to be tough on environmental justice. When I was in the state legislature, I represented 48217, which is one of the most polluted zip codes in this country. And I'll continue to stand with our residents to ensure that they have clean air, clean water, and have everything that they need for them and their families to be safe.
Thank you. Mr. Durham, you start us off again. What is your response to the notion held by many in Detroit that the public interest is beholden to wealthy businessmen and women?
I think the public interest is beholden to those who work to make decisions in their best interest. And what I would say is this: I know there are times we want to create two Detroits. And I've been unapologetic about development here in this city because we have to continue to grow to create more revenue that we can put back into our neighborhoods. When you go to Chicago, okay, or you go to Illinois, you don't go to Peoria, you go there to go to Chicago, we've got to build the best Detroit possible where we can create more jobs, create more opportunity. This was once a city of opportunity, and somewhere along the line that opportunity disappeared, and so did the jobs that came with it, and so did the ability for folks to be able to pay their rent and their mortgage. We are going to continue to build this city, but we are going to ensure that those who are not paying their fair share of taxes, and I'll say it again, will pay their fair share. It makes no sense if you own a flat lot surface and you make $2 to $3 million a year when the Lions and Tigers play, but you only pay $10,000 in taxes. We got to make them pay their fair share.
Thank you. Mr. Barlow.
We have about 3 major investors in the city. They've all picked a candidate. None of those candidates are here. But then, outside of that circle, we have another layer of investors into our city that I don't know who's taking their money. But I can say this: I'm not taking anybody's money. Because I don't want any ties, any allegiances. I don't want anybody telling me how I'm going to look out for you all. This boggles my mind because for far too long, we've been thinking downtown can save the community. I'm trying to make you all owners again. I'm trying to make sure that you all are able to crowdsource and fund your projects just like the Detroit People's School Co-op. But I'm also trying to bring you money and banks that will actually work with you. I have that relationship and that experience. Trust me.
Thank you.
Could you reread that question?
What is your response to the notion held by many in Detroit that the public interest is beholden to wealthy businessmen and women?
So I'm going to answer the question. And I think that's why I needed to hear the question read again. The answer to that is, y'all all know the answer to that. Absolutely. When we look at what's going on downtown and you don't feel that uptown, therein lies the story. And that story is real. And as a proponent, as the individual who is the neighborhood mayor, as the individual who is Perkins for the people, as the individual who did create the people's voice, I am the voice of the people. I'm the only one that can talk to that guy, those kids on the corner, and I can talk to the people in that boardroom. I am the bridge between that gap, and I'm here to tell them the fair share for the neighborhood is coming. I am the steward of that. And how is that done? It's easier said than done, but it starts with leadership. It starts with the ability and the experience of having done similar things as being a self-made, the only self-made CEO from ground up, from nothing, to make those decisions and those hard decisions that are going to have to be made. That's what you trust. Leadership. Thank you.
Ms. Jenkins, have at it.
Whether or not the public interest is in the hands of business depends on who you all elect. At the end of the day, our elected officials are responsible to you. So it's not only important that you know who you're voting for and what their record is, it's also important that once you elect any of us, that you hold us accountable. We can all stand here and say whatever you want to hear, but the truth is, you have to hold elected officials responsible. And I say you, I should say we. Because even as a voter, I have to make sure that our elected officials are accountable to us, those of us who voted them in. I've spent my entire life fighting for people. My first job at 17 was at Focus Hope. Every job I've ever had has been in service to people, including my job as an elected official. That's why I do this. I do this to improve the quality of life of people, not for businesses. They'll be fine. But we need to make sure that business is working for people. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll start with you. Don't sit down yet. This next question. There was discussion about getting home and auto insurance for the residents of Detroit. It never materialized. If you were elected the mayor, would you revive this initiative or these initiatives?
Yes, so the discussion was about the city creating a company where we're self-insured. Absolutely. And there, a couple of years ago, you all may recall, the law changed and it was supposed to reduce our insurance. And I can tell you what happened in my household. It was reduced for the first year, and then it went right back up the second year, and then it went up a little more the third year. So what we need is real insurance reform. We need a mayor that is willing to take this on and build the kind of coalitions that it will take to go to Lansing and advocate for true insurance reform for our residents. And yes, creating our own self-insurance company in the city of Detroit is a real option that the mayor should be looking at. Thank you.
Thank you.
So what we have to understand is the current administration and the people in that administration and the legislative and all of the people who've been elected, they went and supported. And I don't know the record, but I know it passed. And I know the city as a whole, it came from the leadership of the city, supported the insurance reform that was a falsehood. Yeah, you got to check back that first year. But what you also know you got the option to select some kind of care that when you got it, you don't know what you're even getting. And when you have an accident, there's no medical to take care of you. That's an atrocity. That's something that cannot exist. That's something that we do have to use our legal minds and our legal tools to go back to Lansing and lobby for insurance reform. But yes, the answer to that question is yes. The option is create our own so that we can tell you we don't need you anymore. And when you don't need them anymore, they will bargain with you differently. They will bargain with you honestly, and will bring them to task, which is long been needed to do. Thank you.
If you can't move around and you can't get to where you need to get to, then you can't make any money and you can't win in life. That's been one of the core issues in mobility. That's one of the major things that I want to fix. I was waiting for them to kind of chime in on this one key term, which they probably know not too much about. It's called climate democracy. It's about how we interact with the actual nature and how we build business and ecosystem that influence around. That's what I studied. But I studied nationally, internationally, and I can actually implement it here. But on top of all that, there's a groundwork and a layer that I'm trying to create that will have the Q-line running, have the DDOTs running efficiently, but most definitely, I want to make sure that we all understand the only way that all this works is to get close to the money. I wish they could name an investment banker that they know. I know one. He controls $3 billion. He went to school with me at Renaissance High School, one of the only black kids.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Thank you, and this is why experience is important. I agree with my friend on the other end of the table. Roads to change insurance, car insurance particularly, leads through Lansing. I'm the only candidate that can sit up here and say that they have served in Lansing and now as a member on the Detroit City Council. So let me tell you what we did when we were up there. We actually fought against Detroit being self-insured. And the reason why is because in order for that to happen, you have to dumb down the benefits here that folks receive. And that's what they did. They cut no fault. And what did you get in exchange? You got a $300 check, and your insurance rates are still high. I'm under the firm belief that if a person can't pay $5,000, they can't pay $4,700. And that is just the truth. So if we bring that cost of insurance in-house, the city of Detroit will be headed towards bankruptcy. You know why? Because when we look at the rates here, and we look at our risk management here in the city of Detroit, on the average lawsuit settlements, we pay $1.4 million. Now imagine if we get a lawsuit settlement against us for 200 people, where the city's finances will be.
Thank you. All right. Don't sit down. You know the drill. You know the drill now.
It's just a normal thing.
What are our plans? What are your plans if ICE comes to the city? Will we still be a sanctuary city?
Is this ice in the drink or the other ice? I have said time and time again, we have a talented Detroit Police Department that should be focused on driving down crime in our city and not advancing President Trump's agenda. And so what I will be focused on is make sure that we have more officers in the neighborhood, have more officers patrolling, ensure that they're catching the folks that are doing crime in our city, but not focused on deporting folks. Listen, no one in this city, regardless of their status, should live in fear.
And
They should not be in.
I'll add 4 seconds to your time. Add 4 seconds to his time just as a point of order. We are not a sanctuary city officially.
I was getting there. So to the judge's point, we are not a sanctuary city, but we should be a welcoming city. Because a lot of us forget at one time we were brought over here as well. And so here's my point. We want to make sure that our residents and their families that are living here should not fear about being reported when they just have to call the water department for an issue. Or they can't even call the police when a crime is committed against them because they fear deportation. We're going to create a healthy environment for families so they know that they are safe here in the city of Detroit.
Thank you.
I'm stuck between everybody, so some of my answers is always gonna be for the last answer. The car insurance thing, like you said, they sued, but there's no follow-through. When they implemented the law, we still have the same result. That's what I talk about. They can't correct the system. And if they could, we wouldn't have this problem still. But let's go to ICE. ICE is here already. ICE been here. ICE was here 2 months ago when I went down to the precinct on 4th Street and had a sergeant come out the back and said, who gave those 2 plainclothes guys my information? Because they were really ICE officers trying to go get a kid out of school. But then they hit home again when I visited Dexter Avenue Baptist Church this last Sunday. And they reported a Peter sorry if I murdered the name. But it's not only the Hispanic and Latino communities, it's other communities. It's our Nigerian and African communities as well. We have to be aware of these things, and we have to make sure we don't have any bad actors in our own police department giving them away. That's where it goes down to.
Thank you so much.
ICE is here, they've been here, but what's different is the policies that are coming out of out of Washington, D.C. That's the difference. And what we're not going to do is we're not going to weaponize our city Detroit officers who have a handful of things to do, and given the fact that I have prioritized public safety for our citizens, we're not going to take the time to focus on these policies, these crazy policies that are coming out. They're fear tactics. You know, let me tell you a story, and I know we only have a little bit of time, but Cinco de Mayo, we were down at the parade, and we talked to the people who were at the parade. It did rain, but that's never stopped them in years past, but it was probably 30 or 40% less because of people who were living in fear. That's what you're not gonna feel in this city, is the fear of ICE. The reality is, I consulted Detroit Public Schools on the issue of ICE and using warrants to come into those schools and fighting for that. And that's what I've done as a lawyer. I will continue to do that as your mayor, because that's what I understand. The Constitution must stay together and must stay intact.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Ms. Jenkins.
First, I'll say ditto to what Fred and Todd said. But also, in addition to making sure that our police department is not weaponized to deport residents in the city of Detroit, as mayor, I would also make sure that our residents have resources and an understanding of what their rights are. We would work with nonprofits and justice groups to ensure that our immigrants have a card in every language that says, these are your rights. If you get stopped, if you get detained by ICE, these are your rights, and here's the number that you should call. And we will have attorneys on call 24/7 waiting to help our citizens. And I have been helping immigrant families. As we speak, the last family that I helped was a 17-year-old going to Debson School over here who got pulled over while he was trying to make extra money doing Uber Eats. 17 got pulled over for speeding. He was outside of city limits. He wasn't in Detroit.
Time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
He got deported. He's back though.
Use your time on the next word. You're not doing that. No, he's not doing that. Okay. Now try to move through some more of these. We'll come back at this end since you blew your last time. It's yours. Okay. You're about to lose some time. What is your plan to address the shortage of housing, safe housing for low-income citizens of Detroit?
Yes, safe and affordable housing is so important. So I would utilize the city's bonding capacity to create more affordable housing for renters and owners. And I would ensure that rental housing in the city of Detroit, when we're using housing choice vouchers, truly are affordable. Because if we say that 30% of your income makes it affordable, but you're also spending 30% of your income on your gas bill, it's no longer affordable. So we would hold landlords accountable and make sure that they're renting quality housing that is energy efficient so that it truly is affordable all the way around. But the housing bonds would be used to reduce costs on the front end for developers so we can build housing in our neighborhoods that remains affordable. It can be used for down payment assistance as well, and we can provide grants for people to fix up land bank houses. So I will use all of the tools at the city's disposal to create more affordable housing across the city for renters.
Time.
That question is interesting because we always talk about affordable housing, but we don't talk about low-income housing. And little known would believe that the low-income housing that's just across the Roosters, it sits adjacent to a very expensive property. So guess what the plan is? There's an insidious plan that's going on that those apartments and townhouses will no longer be there. I'm going to protect those people's rights to be in this particular area and to live adjacent to downtown, to live, to be able to walk to work, because it's so important. And we have to continue building. Now, we can't use the city's bonding capacity to do so, but we also use public-private partnerships. We will access that gap funding and incentivize and use the financial tools that the city has, that's been using downtown, to build up downtown for our neighborhoods and to build those houses that are so desperately needed so that the citizens, like I say, it's like Sly Stone says, that everyday people can go to work and be happy. Thank you.
I really wonder if they ever built a home in Detroit. I really wonder if they ever rehabbed a home in Detroit. I want to know if they landlords. Because quite honestly, I've been all those houses. And more. And I deal with landlord-tenant disputes all the time because it's just something that God just put in my backpack for some odd reason. But I will say this. Governor Gershon's plan calls for 150 affordable housing units in the state of Michigan. If you do your math, we need a big chunk of that. Some of our candidates have said 1,000 homes, some of them have said 10,000. I believe 150,000 homes in Michigan, we deserve very much more, a bigger chunk than that. And we deserve the support and resources to do so. Now, my partners are building 500 affordable housing units in Cleveland right now because they didn't have to work with a city that was constantly pushing back and deterring them from doing business. I'm going to fix all that if I'm elected. I'm trying to help everybody.
Thank you. Make no mistake, Detroit is on the path to rebuild more affordable housing. This council in the last 5 years has built over $1 billion in affordable housing. I just sponsored an ordinance this past fall that passed called the Pilot Fast Track Ordinance, which is slated to create over 1,400 new affordable housing units per year here in the city of Detroit while doing a couple things. One, locking developers into 15 years of affordability and compliance. No longer can you be a slumlord and get an incentive for affordable housing. Two, that 15 years also will be renewable. So when that expires, we don't see rents go up and we don't see displacement and gentrification. They can renew it for another 15 years. This is groundbreaking. I invite you to look it up. But when it comes to affordable housing, as someone who has worked at the Michigan State Housing Development Authority, let me tell you this. Yes, we do focus on low-income housing. The problem is that people are on a wait list for vouchers here in the city of Detroit, and we need to go to D.C. and go to Lansing and get more vouchers here to place more folks in the city and not just Romulus and Kingston and other areas.
Don't sit down. All right. Dovetailing that last question, right on. What's the future of the land bank, and why does it take such a long time to purchase a lot next to your house?
The future of the land bank, hopefully, is to get all of these properties off the grid. You're going to hear many folks say, we need to demolish the land bank, abolish the land bank. Here's the thing, at one time, the city of Detroit had over 100,000 vacant properties here. Now, we have sold all of the residential, close to all of the residential properties here, and what remains are side lots. We gotta find productive use for those lots here in the city of Detroit so folks can be able to give them opportunity to build upon that land. Why does it take so long for the land bank? Because we need to improve the processes. The biggest room in the world is the room for improvement. And that is why we have not passed the MOU yet at City Council, because we are now working to say, these are what our residents want to see. They want to know what properties are available. They want to know that why they can't purchase the side lot in their neighborhood, even though everybody has signed off on it. We are going to work to improve those processes here, make sure that they're expedient, provide more transparency and answers to the residents.
Time.
They're always going to say what the residents say. Because they didn't try it. They didn't try to go buy a house out the land bank. They didn't understand how difficult it was. Nor do they go talk to pastors like Curtis Grant over on Orlando, who's trying to build 50 starter homes and tiny homes for the families in his community. They probably know nothing about the bazaar that you all do. They don't come and talk to us because they rather keep you outside. It's sad. It's real sad. But what am I going to do with the land bank? I told you all earlier. It's real simple. The plan was to get 5,000 homeless families and DPS off the streets. We're going to create a village concept and a village approach to doing that, and we're going to use the land bank houses to do it. And we're going to incentivize legacy Detroiters to invest in those homes.
Thank you. Attorney Burke.
I believe that question is rooted in the distrust of what the land bank has demonstrated to our citizens. Oftentimes, you feel that the land bank is there for developers and not residents. I would like to know, one of the things, if you don't know your history, you're bound to repeat it. So one of the things, I'm a big fan of audits and auditing what's happened in the city, auditing departments, but I also want to have land bank reform. That's one of the things that's under the Perkins plan, is land bank reform. That land bank is a community land trust. And in that word is community. And it's going to serve the community. And it's not going to be so quick to try to revert and take property back that they give individuals because they're slow to develop, because they're using their own finances, so that Perkins doesn't have to go to court on a pro bono basis to save these individuals or threaten a lawsuit from them taking those properties. I've seen it on a ground level perspective, but I know that there's a lot of distrust and a lot of anger from citizens who see it happen, who have seen developers acquire slots of land, and that will not happen under the land reform and the Perkins plan. Thank you.
Yes, land bank reform is sorely needed. The intention of the land bank was to make it easier for residents to acquire side lots. It was to make it easier for residents to access city-owned properties, and it did make it easier for developers to do all of the above. So as the mayor, I would completely reform the land bank, and I would ensure that Detroiters have first access to properties, especially if you live in the block where the property is. And if you've been maintaining it for any period of time, you should have first right of refusal on that property. I would also utilize land bank homes to help us recruit teachers. And I've been talking to DPS and to DFT about their inability to attract enough teachers to our school system. So I would say if you're a teacher and you're gonna move here and you're gonna teach our kids and you agree to live here, then we have a land bank home for you, and we'll offer a grant as well to help you fix it up. Yes, sir. Keep standing, right?
Unfortunately, we're running out of time, and as you see, there's another stack of questions. However, I want all the candidates to be able to have rebuttal time. And yes, I said that. I said that. And I said it was coming. And this is your time to address any issue. You have 2 minutes to do such. As well. This is it. So it's all wrapped up, because I don't want to be the one when Fred says, y'all got to get out of here. Be that as it may, we'll start with you.
Thank you. And I'll take just about 5 seconds to rebuttal for the community benefits ordinance. And directly to Attorney Perkins, who serves as one of the attorneys for Detroit City Council. I will bring you the videos where you can hear me talk about the community benefits ordinance. And it's my hope as one of our attorneys, you will be there to advise us how we change that. So here's the point. In the city of Detroit, this is why experience counts. We are really in the most critical and pivotal moment here in our city. And I don't say that jokingly, because I sit at that council table every single day. I represent the 7th district, where I walked in and had no development, no new development, 0 recreation centers. Now they have 2. $20 million recreation center in partnership with the Detroit business, $8.5 million recreation center at the Dexter Amherst Community Center. I see one of my residents in the crowd today. I invite you to go to Dexter to see what we've done. Okay? We also created 400 new jobs. We turned the old American Motor site into a job creation site for GM that supplies automobile parts, 400 jobs there. We built over $30 million of affordable housing in my district alone, and so this is why we're running, because I figure if we can do it there and duplicate that across the city, we'll be in pretty good shape. This is not the time to allow the city of Detroit to go backwards. We don't need someone on-the-job training. We hear so much about self-made CEOs. We hear so much about experience. Let me tell you one thing that moves the needle forward for our city. A lot of the plans that you hear have to go through Lansing. And you don't need to have a GPS to find Lansing, or you go up there and you don't know where the bathrooms are. We need somebody with experience who has a proven track record to deliver for this city. I am going to build a city here that is for families again, where people get back to work, that's safer, that's cleaner, and in Detroit, that's opportunity for everyone.
Thank you.
What you didn't hear tonight was anybody refer to the plan. That's because they don't have one. My plan is listed on my website. It's another page plan. It covers all the inputs that they did tonight, plus more. They caught on to what they should be saying right now, but It's a lot more granular, and it's a whole lot more of a system to be fixed than just political platitudes. The same rhetoric has been told to you election in and election out. I can't even start to tell you how many administration changes and how many backdoor deals that I've seen that have caused us to get in the situation that we are in. For having a mayor for the last 12 years that did a great job with who supported him and who paid the bill. So what I'm trying to do, again, is reverse the whole system. Make sure that you all understand that when we put $1 million in a department or a budget or a program, then we get $1 million results, not $1,000 results, like we have been getting. See, like I told you all before, you all made a rare breed. You all made someone that can get in between the lines, who's gone to other markets, Miami, DC, Atlanta, who can call them at a drop of a dime. Nobody here has talked about anything that relates to tech, and tech is part of the problem and part of the solution all at the same time. We haven't created the right systems, and therefore we keep on losing money, and then we cry during election time that nobody's accountable. That can't happen anymore. That's insanity. So what we're going to do is we're going to make history. We're going to come together like a community, and we're going to make Detroit an international innovation hub. And no longer, like he said, look back. And we're going to start with fresh clean energy. John Barlow from here.
Thank you. Thank you, Curtis.
I'm going to start with saying I'm Todd Perkins, and I'm asking for your vote, your support, and I think I've demonstrated my case, and I've made my case today. But let me tell you a couple of things. Where people talk about is just casually talking about a self-made CEO. Well, the gentleman who said that is the same individual who touted his budget experience and didn't know the budget. It's on tape. Look at it on the news. He doesn't know what the budget is, but he's indicated he goes every week. Does not know what a forensic audit is. He's questioned my ability or questioned my concern about doing a forensic audit. Well, Mr. Perkins, I chair the budget committee, and I come down and see it. But yet you don't know your numbers? That's what I'm talking about. That's not experience. That's deficiency. If I did that, I'd be fired. If I did that, if I was a rubber stamp for Duggan, which they've been for the 12 years, and he hasn't been there 12 years, but some of the people who chose not to come here to see you have been there for 12 years, and have been a rubber stamp, that have fueled your distrust, that have made you feel like you don't have a voice. Those are the individuals who should be fired. You got a pastor who's not here tonight, who invests millions, $10 million out in Southfield. We got plenty of land for development here. That's what I'm talking about. And those are the people that want you to trust them. Those are the people that want you to come and give them your vote. No, here's where it's at. I've got experience, I've got knowledge, I'm a self-made CEO, I'm the city attorney in various different areas, and I represent municipalities. But most importantly, I represent people. And I know the heart of the people. I know what people need. As they come into my office, oftentimes they don't have the money to afford me, but that doesn't mean they don't walk out that office with a lawyer. And that's what you're going to walk out of here. When you cast that vote, you're going to have an advocate. You're going to have representation. You're going to have a voice. And I am your voice. And that's why I asked you soundly, I asked you to trust me, and I asked you to vote Todd Perkins for mayor August 5th. Thank you so much.
They missed an earlier announcement. They weren't here. Right. The message didn't get to them. Thank you. Ms. Jenkins.
Thank you. My name is Santil Jenkins. I am a lifelong Detroiter. I am an advocate. I am a social worker. I am the only candidate that has been a CEO, which is what our mayor is, and served on our legislative body. If I am your mayor, the Jenkins administration will spend every day working to improve the quality of life for you, not for myself, not for the people I know, or my friends and family. I will spend every day working on behalf of you. I cannot promise you that we will always agree. What I can promise you is that we will always talk, we will always have access, and I will always bring the issues to the people and make sure that I am fighting and building and growing this city on your behalf This city has, over the past several years, experienced the greatest revenue influx in our lifetime. We've gotten over $1 billion of additional revenue since 2020. If you all haven't felt the impact, based on the leadership that we've had, it's highly likely that you're gonna feel it going forward. We need a mayor who understands budgeting, how to manage a budget and pass a budget. We need a mayor who is willing to fight the good fight and the tough fights. We need a mayor that knows how to go to DC and get it done. During Trump's first budget in his first term, he cut utility assistance across this country. I led the fight to get it not only restored but increased, and I won that fight across this country. I led the coalition in Lansing to get statewide water assistance. I fought that fight and I won that fight. I would spend every day of my life fighting for you.
Time.
Thank you. Can I clap for myself?
I still time. Ladies and gentlemen, you've heard the candidates. Hopefully you took notes. Hopefully you realize that each of these candidates are fine individuals that bring unique skill sets to the city. Is she running off now that the time is up?
I'm sorry.
Aye.
I have another event that I committed to before this was scheduled. I apologize. Thank you all.
What I was trying to say, I appreciate the candidates that came timely, stayed for the entire program, and showed respect for this audience. But what I also want you to think about is, in the last mayoral election, somebody brought it as a question, but I was going to say it earlier, but I said, let's see where this goes. 19%. 19%. That was the turnout. 19%, which means I'm not the math major. I don't do the budget in my house. I'm not that smart. But what it does mean is 81% did not vote. 81% did not vote. I did, but I'll say it again. 81%. For those of you who came out tonight, you give yourself a round of applause. In one moment, not yet. But you have to get the message out. The candidates are putting in the work. It's important who you vote for. That's your decision. But you got to get out and vote. And in this day and age, we have to understand that our backs are against the wall as a people, as a community, and we're fighting it.
Absolutely.
And it is up to you to make sure that our